1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello everyone, my name is Mudit Pandey and I am the co-founder of My Admission Card and president of Xavier Foundation. As our initiative in continuation to bring universities regularly to our channel, we have brought today Xavier University from Ohio of USA. So welcome to Srishty and Alex on our show, Talk to Uni. So Srishty, up to you.
Thank you so much, Mudit sir, for giving us this platform to express ourselves and to connect with you in a more conversational manner. So my name is Srishty. I am based out of India and I'm the Assistant Regional Manager South Asia for Xavier University, USA. And Alex?
Yeah, and my name is Alex Brauer. I'm the Associate Director for International Recruitment at Xavier University, located in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, great. Welcome, Alex, to the India.
So
I hope your trip is going great.
Yes, absolutely. Srishty is a great travel companion and she coordinates everything, makes things very easy on me.
So just to continue our show, what we do normally is just to help the student and the audience around. We'd like to know a bit about your university. But before going into the university, we want to know about the location. Why a student should prefer Ohio instead of other popular destinations in USA? That would be the first question anybody would like to know. So can you just help me with the advantage of studying in Ohio as a place?
Sure. I mean, US has always been a traditionally well sought after destination for international students in India, and that's not just been a concurrent trend of recent times, it's been there for decades. There are certain key markets in India which have been more heavily focused towards US. We have seen that generally students are more oriented to pursue their education in US on a graduate level, but after the pandemic, we have seen a subsequent rise in terms of undergraduate students pursuing their education journey in the United States. And for that matter, US is an excellent avenue for students to explore because there are more than 4,000 universities, which is an endless dearth of choices and opportunities for students to tap into. Usually, you will see the trend that universities are based in smaller college towns or towns which are a little away from bigger cities where you can have a more compact environment for the universities to be more comfortably located in. But one of the benefits that Xavier University gets to face is that we are located in a metropolitan city, and that is the city of Cincinnati in Ohio. So Ohio itself is a hub. It has a lot of manifold attractions for students to explore, not just when it comes to education opportunities, but also when we go beyond the scope of education into post-study work opportunities, into experiencing that quality US life at a lower cost of living and a more subsidized, standardized cost, with no shortage on all the opportunities and amenities and resources that students would generally need to have. And you'll also see that Ohio, in the belt that it is called the Midwestern belt, and it is closer to the northeastern part of the country. You will generally see that about 60% of the US population is actually located in that particular region, that peripheral. The reason for this is because of abundance of job opportunities. It is also a more financially focused belt. So you will see a lot of Fortune 500 companies with multiple presences around that. And Alex can shed more light on this, but Ohio, Cincinnati itself is a destination that has a very big diversity in terms of the companies and the different types of opportunities when it comes to employment, when it comes to the city itself.
And it's home to about 2 million people. So it's about the 30th largest metropolitan area in the United States. I always think Cincinnati is a great choice for international students because it's not going to be an overwhelming place like maybe in New York or Los Angeles. It's a big city, but with a small town feel. So I think it's, and you know, the community is friendly, welcoming to students from all backgrounds.
So as said, like if I like to summarize it, like it's more cost effective in comparison to other cities, but at the same time is that all the amenities that a person require to pursue his education and get well placed after the education. Is that what what it means?
Essentially,
Okay.
yes. And also, if you can students can go and search on some certain numbers online. For example, if you look at the average cost of living in states such as California, which has abundant opportunities, but the average cost of living goes up to anywhere between $120,000 to $160,000 per annum. The state of New York will have an average cost of living that's anywhere between $100,000 to $120,000 per annum for the average human being. And in Ohio, that same metric is around $55,000 to $6,500,
Just half,
$55,000 to $65,000,
So it's
which
like-
is almost
just
half of that
Yeah,
amount.
that's
But it has no shortage in terms of the different companies that are placed over there. And also, if you notice one thing, Ohio is also very rich in terms of its educational environment. It's a major magnet to a lot of very well-renowned institutions in that area. You have a lot of institutions that have R1 category rankings. You have a lot of institutions which come amongst the top best Midwestern regional schools, and Xavier University is one of them. So, in the city of Cincinnati itself, it is a student-centric city because you have more than just one institution that is located within that vicinity. So you'll find that the crowd that is generally attracted over there is more helpful, young, working force, and it is more integrated to have that community kind of a feeling with each other. You'll also see that it's not a place where you will find only Indian students or South Asian students in Manifold, but you will see a very good diversity, a good crux of students coming in from Southeast Asia. You will see so many students coming in from Europe, especially students of German descent, as Cincinnati has a lot of people from German descent that were originally placed in the city about 200 years ago, about 100 years ago. So you will also see a lot of students coming in from Latin America and African countries. So it's a good
So
mix.
well diverse.
Yeah, it's a thriving population of young people. It's regarded as the Queen City. It is also ranked as the #1 city for students to start their careers after their education has been completed. And it is actually home to about 5 Fortune 500 headquarters right in the city itself. So in general, it's got a lot to offer in terms of a thriving cultural as well as a professional environment for the students.
So I have 3 questions right from here. Number 1 was you just used the word R1 as a rating. So what it is, because my audience is new. Okay, so
Right.
they would like to know how, because I've told them about the ranking in UK is TEF. So what is this R1? If you will
R1
let us know.
is a category
Okay.
that is given to institutions when they attract a very good amount of governmental and non-governmental funding pertaining to their research work that is happening within their institution. Now, this is a ranking that would be given to institutions that generally tend to have some really thriving PhD programs within their roster and offerings. And it is also a very grant-oriented ranking that is given to US universities. However, universities that are R1 categorized, they generally tend to be associated with some really good projects on a governmental and a non-governmental project. So that's
It's
basically
good for
what,
research students.
Yes, it is good for research students.
So my second very important question for everybody about the safety of students in the city. How safe these students are. This is a basic question that comes from every other parents who come to me for any country, not just for USA. But I know the US has a very good safety index, but it's a very important question. What about the safety of these students?
Yeah, so I think since Cincinnati itself, it's a bigger city, so it's not without its problems, obviously. But I think Xavier provides students with a very safe environment. There's an on-campus police force itself that's also coordinates very well with the wider city of Cincinnati's police force. On-campus students, the residence halls provide very secure measures for only students permitted. Even staff are not permitted to enter the dormitories. Also, there's a 24/7 campus. The security force patrols the campus 24/7. And then also, if students after dark, they would like an escort to one building to the next, they can simply call our campus police and they will provide that service for them.
So third more important question for an Indian student, what about the food? Like, will they get Indian food or not?
Alex,
is it available or not?
Sure. Cincinnati is home to a lot of Indians in the community, and there's several Indian restaurants in the area. I would say it's mainly based on the North Indian cuisine, and it might be slightly different than what Indian students are used to in India itself. Just it's starting to cater to the wider American population. But yeah, on campus too, our cafeteria and dining services are very open to suggestions. And if Indian students would like to see a certain thing on the menu, while they might not be able to provide that all throughout the week, there are certain days of the week that they might be able to provide certain meals that Indian
So there might be some restaurant at least in the city where, like, obviously I understand that's not available in the mess, but when it comes to the city, I'm quite sure there must be some Indian restaurants would be there.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. Even I live in northern Kentucky, which is just 10 minutes south of Cincinnati. There's at least 2 Indian restaurants in northern Kentucky itself. In Cincinnati, there's at least between 5 to 15 Indian restaurants.
Oh, that's great. That's more than enough for Indian students who are going from here to there. So moving forward from here, I would also like to know, like, what are the courses, what are the major areas that you cover? Because for Indian students, there are a couple of major courses that you're looking for. One is business management, another one is CS, IT, AI, and the third one is nursing. Nowadays is becoming very popular. So what are the availability of the course within the Xavier University for undergrad and postgrad? If you can shed some light on that, that would be helpful for the audience.
So Xavier provides a lot of diversity to students on an undergrad level, but a little selective on the graduate side. But on the undergrad side, we have about 90 majors in all the core areas that students majorly tend to pursue with their undergraduate studies. We also have the scope of exploratory programs should students want to come in seeking a direction after a certain molding of their foundation. So that's always the benefit of US education, of having the scope of exploratory programs, and we have that. In general, if we align that by the Indian student market or the Indian student territory and what Indian students tend to opt for or prefer to study, yes, of course, we are more aligned towards STEM programs, biomedical, pre-med or nursing programs. And now we are seeing a rising trend in psychology as an interest for students to pursue outside of India as well. So in that regard, we do have the regular computer science, cybersecurity, AI and data science program. In fact, our cybersecurity ranks amongst the top 1% programs. Our computer science roster overall ranks among the top 1% in the country's considerations for computer sciences. But our cybersecurity concentration is, our cybersecurity major is recognized by the NSA, and it has now it's just newly become its own different major. Earlier it was a concentration for computer science, and now it's its own major. We also have AI, and our data science program is an honors-oriented program that requires higher than the usual quality program, and also requires students to make a separate application within the application to be qualifying for this program. We have certain other considerations as well. We are very well known for our pre-med and our business programs, not just domestically, but now globally as well. And these are some considerations which are really up and coming in the Indian territory as well in terms of student choices. So we have about 11 concentrations on the undergraduate level in the business side, and these are a wide set of ranges, such as a BBA in accounts or a BBA in international business or marketing, or an undecided stream in business. We also have a STEM designated version for students to consider, which is the Bachelor of Sciences in Business Analytics. So that's something great that students can look into. It ranks 23rd in the nation, and it is a very, very, very good option for students to consider, because business analytics is an area that's going to be in demand for the next projected 12 to 15 years, with an upward surge that's not going to be disturbed. And in that regard, students can get technically inclined with a business-minded approach right from the beginning. So it's a very well-recognized program. But we also have something for students who may be a little, let's say, extracurricular inclined towards activities such as sports. And they want to do
popular.
Exactly. And they want to do something like a business program. So we have sports management and sports marketing. So those are certain interesting considerations. I'll come back to this point more as I complete the set of programs that Xavier generally has for the Indian students to consider. We have some very interesting healthcare programs.
I was about to ask this, because biomedical and healthcare, what are the eligibility when we'll move forward after once you finish? It's very important for Indian students to know the eligibility criteria.
Absolutely, I agree. And we will come to the point where we explain a holistic way of what eligibility we seek from our students. However, to continue on the point of the programs, we have some very good biomedical programs that students can consider, such as a BS in biomedical sciences, or a BS in biochemistry, or a BS in biophysics. They can also go for biological sciences. They can also go for certain new considerations and majors that have come up, such as a neuroscience major, or a genetics major, a microbiology major. We have now also gotten the pharmaceutics major and the pre-health sciences major. So these are all pre-med programs, and I just want to mention something here. The beauty of pursuing a pre-med program at Xavier is that MCAT preparation is included within the curriculum of the program of our pre-med.
Is there any extra fees for it?
No, this is included within the curriculum as part of the curriculum. But it's one of the reasons why we have one of the nation's highest national averages in terms of students cracking the MCAT in their first attempt and going into some of our best medical degree institutes in the country. Some of those are Johns Hopkins, Case Western, or Cleveland Clinic, or Mayo Clinic, so Columbia. So students have actually gone there after pursuing our pre-med programs and then appearing for the MCAT examinations from after being prepared through us. We have an 86% success rate with that, which is double of the national average. So in that regard, we are very well renowned. We have some very good considerations in psychology, communication studies. We rank top 10 in the country, not just for our nursing program, which is a licensed program for students who may not come from a PCMB background. They can be a PCB background also, and they can still apply for our nursing program. But also political science, which, although unconventional in the Indian territory,
it's becoming popular now. And a lot of students choose it in Delhi University itself. They fight for it.
And to be very honest, if you want to pursue something like a degree of law, when you further your education in United States, law has the same pattern as that of medical pathway. Because in that you have to do a pre-law course, and then you have to go for your LSATs, and then you go for your law degree. So in that regard, subjects such as international relations, political science, philosophy, politics, philosophy, society, and
I always mess up that one. Philosophy, political science, or philosophy, politics, and the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of programs such as political science. We have programs such as communication studies, or we have programs such as international relations. And one very interesting one, philosophy, political science, and again, I forgot.
Public.
Yeah. All right, I'll start this point again.
It's PPP.
Yeah, it is PPP.
It's exactly.
That's how we always refer to it, and yeah.
So we have a lot of programs such as political science, such as communication studies, international relations, general philosophy, politics, and public. These are certain programs which are actually very well designed from the pre-law structure. We have a BS criminal justice as well that students can consider. And these are certain programs through which students can carve a path towards a law degree should they wish that. And you will find that we also have a very popular roster for psychology. We're very, very well designed and well provided for in that. We have something very interesting called engineering physics, which comes amongst one of the most recognized engineering physics programs in the country. Now, after studying the curriculum of this program, what I have come to understand is that if a student pursues this program, they are quite well acclaimed to pursue masters in mechatronics or mechanical engineering. They can even go for a master's in aerospace or aeronautics engineering. They can even go for something like an MBA in manufacturing or supply chain management or something. So there's a lot of diversity in terms of the kind of programs that they can pursue on their master's level. But essentially, this program on a bachelor's level is not only a STEM program, but it also allows you so much scope to actually find...
So I'll stop you here for a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry for stopping you. As STEM is a new word for the audience who are looking at us. Last time, one of the Canadian counterpart has given the definition of STEM, but I would like to hear the same from you. What is STEM and why it is important?
STEM literally translates to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It does not include general relative healthcare areas in general. So there could be a lot of health relative programs such as nursing or health services administration which don't come in that peripheral. However, STEM is inclined towards a more technical, mathematical, and science-oriented field of study. Now, the benefit of why it is
why
separately
it is
classified in
yeah,
US
STEM.
is because this is the niche that allows you to stay back in the
stay
country
back.
for a slightly longer period of time after your education and pursue post-study work employment
So
opportunities.
for how long is it? Is post-study work? Is it for 2 years or 3 years in US?
Generally, for non-STEM programs, it is just up to 12 months
Okay.
after you are done with your program. However, in STEM programs, it is up to 24 months extendable
Oh,
beyond
that's great.
those 12 months.
Okay.
So up to 3 years
Up
in
to 3
total.
years is a
Yeah.
good enough time to prove yourself in a country.
Right.
That you have learned something, you got that skill to continue.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So moving forward from there, what are the eligibility criteria? Because obviously because our show is going to be, it's a 15-20 minute show. So I can't just keep on going deep into biomedical. We might sit together again sometime to give our audience a view into biomedical, because nowadays biomedical and healthcare is becoming very popular
Right.
in the Indian region.
Right.
But I would still like to know, what is the generic eligibility criteria for most of your courses in undergrad? And obviously for grad also, what kind of a courses do we have, and what are the eligibility criteria? And then we'll move on to scholarship, and then the last part, what is the required documents in order to apply to your university and application fees?
Right.
For the undergraduate level, generally we like to see around a 3.0 GPA, US equivalent. And we have metrics that we use back in the US to determine, like, if you're in a CBSE curriculum, IB or IGCSE, and how those convert to a US grade point average. But generally, we like to see a minimum of 3.0. We are just introducing slightly higher standards for the upcoming academic year. We'd like to see closer to a 3.3.
Okay, 3.3.
That's not to say if you have a 3.0 that you'll be denied. In the US, we call it waitlisted. It might be slightly longer before you can receive an admission decision with a GPA between a 3.0 and a 3.29. 3.3, not an issue.
Okay, great.
Beyond that, most of our undergraduate programs have that requirement. Our nursing program is our special one. That one requires at least a 3.0 GPA in the science field, so biology, chemistry, and physics in secondary education.
Secondary education. Okay, and what about the grad one? The courses that we have for grad one?
Sure. Do you want to take that?
Primarily, the grad programs that we have right now, which are open to the international students, would be from our College of Business. And
that's the most demanding one, actually.
That's the most demanding one. And actually,
Indian
the one which
students
is the powerhouse in terms of graduate programs in India is the MS in Computer Science. But that is a program that we don't really have at the current moment. College of Business, we have some very well ranked and well recognized programs. Our MBA is nationally recognized, and we are recognized by the US News and World Report itself. So we have consistent rankings over there. We have about 8 concentrations in MBA on the graduate level, and in that direction, we actually have programs which are geared towards the STEM designated areas such as business intelligence and analytics. So we also have a full-time MSBA program, which is a Master of Sciences in Business Analytics. So that is also there for the students to consider. And we have an MS in Accountancy as well, which has recently gotten its STEM accreditation. So, in that regard, the beauty of our business programs is not just that it is in a flourishing metropolitan city, but also that it has the required recognitions and accreditations provided to it, which can make those opportunities for the students more fruitful down the line.
That's actually,
because
a lot of Indian students do look for ROI, and when they look for ROI, they want to tick all the boxes.
In that regard, I also want to highlight that some of our masters in psychology type programs are also very, very popular. For example, we have an MA in clinical mental health. We have an MA in school counseling. We have other relative areas such as sports and body fitness and all, which is MS in athletic training. We have an MA in theology, which is a very, very interesting consideration for students who are looking to get a more of a religion and philosophical insight into the Jesuit theology within the institutions. This could would be something that can be more of interest to states such as Kerala. And we also have an MS Nursing. Although it is nationally recognized, it comes amongst the top nursing programs in the country. I would say right now, if students are oriented to come towards it with a licensure expectation, right now would not be the right time to look into our Masters in Nursing program, because we don't include that roster currently. And apart from that, we also have some very good MEd programs, such as an MEd in secondary education and an MEd in Montessori education. And the beauty of those programs is the one limitation that we have with MEd in the Indian territory, that you cannot pursue an MEd without having a B.Ed in place.
Have to have
we don't have that clause over there within our MEd. Students can apply for that without having a B.Ed as well. And they are very well recognized education programs. So in general, we are selective for our masters, but whatever we do offer, that's been very beneficial for the students. I would like to highlight that Xavier, combining its graduate as well as undergraduate program, boasts a student success rate of 99% in a thriving metropolitan city with other universities present as well. And the reason for that is the level of personalization, the level of focus and concentric value given to the students during their education timeline and process.
So what is the English language requirement for your master's program?
Sure. So for IELTS, 6.5, TOEFL, 79.
Okay.
Those are really the two main ones we use at the
For
graduate
US.
level. Yeah. The College of Business will consider a Duolingo English test of a minimum of 120.
Okay, that's great. So moving forward from here, like, what are the scholarships? This is a very, very important question for every single student going from India, because a lot of students that we get it are actually looking for an cost-effective options. So cost-effective doesn't mean that it has to be on the lower side, but there has to be a chance to get a good scholarship for them. So what are the scholarship criteria, and how much is the exact scholarship that an Indian student can get?
Sure. So the great thing about Xavier at the undergraduate level is all admitted students automatically receive a merit scholarship.
Okay.
The merit scholarship ranges from $23,000 to $34,000 per academic year.
Okay.
That's renewable for each.
Okay, so it's for all the 4 years. Oh,
Correct.
That's great, because a lot of universities only do it for the first year.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if they're doing it for 4 years, so it's altogether a huge scholarship actually.
Yeah.
That's true.
So is it like fees also do increase every year for a student who has already admitted, or the fees is locked?
It does, but the good part over here is that increase can never be fractionally too big.
Okay.
Because then that would create a very big difference in the value of the education.
That's the reason I asked this question.
I mean, anywhere between 2 to 4, 2 to 5% is the standard increase rate.
It's less than the inflation of India actually. It's okay.
And the US.
Yeah.
And the US.
Yeah, because it's okay then. If it's raising only 2 to 5%, that's not a problem. And if you got a locked scholarship for all the 4 years, that's great. Yeah. So is there any scholarship for masters also? I mean to say a grad student?
Well, actually, we aren't done completed about our undergrad scholarships as of yet itself. So just to say, Alex just mentioned about our undergrad scholarship, merit scholarship, starting from $23,000 going up to $34,000. There's also a consideration of about $2,000 that is given to students who are coming from Catholic or Jesuit heritage institutions in their previous education. And there is something that we have introduced, which is called the Global Student Ambassador Scholarship, where students are considered up to an amount of $5,000 as being international students. But this is something they would be considered for after their admission process or their offer letters are there in hand. This is not something they are automatically considered for just at the application stage. To answer your question about what are the master's scholarships?
No, man, just to stop you for a minute, because I just want to know a bit more about the second type of scholarship that you said about the Catholic one. Has the institution has to be a Catholic? I mean to say, if I'm from a school, my school was Boys High School in Prayagraj, which was actually an undertaking of a Catholic thing. So will I also be eligible for that? So that is my question.
I'm sorry, the school?
The school
that if you graduate from a Catholic or Jesuit institution, you would be eligible for this scholarship.
Okay, so it has to be under the Catholic thing. Then only.
Yes.
It has to be under the Catholic mission, or it has to be an institution that is recognized by the Jesuit heritage, such as
Jesuit
institutions
heritage,
in India such as La Martiniere, or for that matter Loyola College,
Okay,
St.
got it.
Joseph's
Now I
College
got
and
it.
all.
Yeah, that-
So those very obviously sound as Catholic and or Jesuit institutions itself. But there are lots of convents, or you'll see there are lots of schools, especially in northeast and east, such as Bengal and Jharkhand,
Yes.
which could be missionary schools or mission oriented schools,
but the name
you
would,
don't really see
have
the
the
name of
similar
that
name.
very obviously
Yes,
presented.
yes.
But
You're right.
if they are schools that come under the umbrella of Catholic institutions or Jesuit institutions, their students would be considered for the scholarship of $2,000.
Got it. Thanks. Sorry for stopping you
Not at
because
all.
it was
No worries.
important.
No,
Yes,
no,
ma'am,
it was
please,
very
please.
important, I agree.
We'll go with it.
To continue on your point on the master's programs and if there are any scholarships this year for the master's programs, the College of Business this year has opened up certain avenues of scholarships for the students, but the students will only be considered for these scholarships should they get an admit into the university. Again, it's not a scholarship that's looked at from the admission application point of view. It has to be undertaken after the student has gotten an offer for their program. There are two. One is called the Women and Minority Scholarship, which is applicable to female business students, and anywhere up to a 25% will be going off on the tuition fee, it will be waived off on the tuition fee. Then we also have something called the Minority Scholarship, which is applicable to any and all non-Caucasian students, domestic or international, in which again 25% would be considered as a tuition waiver for the students.
So if somebody who is a woman and a minority at the same time, will only one of this scholarship will be eligible for her, or both? She'll get
How we
25 plus
wish.
25.
Yeah, just one. So yeah,
Look, because
unfortunately,
these are
it's
the
not
questions that will
stackable.
come in the comments, I know.
Absolutely.
So I'm just trying to ask it upfront so that the comment box should be a bit more empty.
But to the ones who were hoping that both these scholarships could be clubbed together, and I'm sorry that it's actually not the case. However, what they can do is that if they have very good profiles, they could look into other opportunities within the department, which is on-campus assistantship opportunities within the department. Xavier has very good opportunities on a limited basis. However, it could be open that students can go for an assistantship position as an administrative assistant, as a graduate assistant.
So
as a
is
teaching
part-time job
assistant.
allowed?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, from the.
That's a good news.
Yeah. So, well, part-time jobs on campus.
Okay, on campus. Okay.
So we have to follow the U.S. immigration
yes,
laws.
yes.
So from day one, when students start at the undergraduate or graduate level, they're eligible to work up to 20 hours on
Within
an
the
on-campus job.
Okay.
After they complete one academic year in the U.S., that's when part-time jobs off-campus may be, possible through internships. The caveat there is they have to be directly related to the student's field of study.
Okay.
And it has to be approved by our International Student and Scholar Services Office before students can start.
But this is something which we counsel to the student, to be honest, who goes from India to study abroad. We tell them that you are going to study there and not to work. And have this thing in mind, at least for the first year, concentrate on your studies.
Absolutely.
So this is something I try to counsel student upfront. I know it's a law, but it's a good law.
Mm-hmm.
If they'll follow this, they'll get more educated, they'll get highly skilled, and then as said, if you are skilled, you get job. There is no problem for job if you are
That's
skilled.
very correct. And I also want to add in a point over here about a certain absorption of this belief. Students, when they believe or when they talk about on-campus jobs within the campus, a lot of international students have not been oriented to be interested in that because, it's a little beneath their status to work in campus cafeteria or dining services. I want to make it clear that in a country like United States, these are very normal jobs that the students of younger age groups have pursued in order to support their education or support their living in that particular institution during their education journey. You're not going to be earning something out of these opportunities that's going to be so considerable that it's going to take care of your education or something, but it's obviously going to add a level of comfort and ease to your financials as you are there.
Yes.
And also the good part about these kind of on-campus jobs is that they will only give you a designated number of hours which are balanceable as per your current academic schedule as well. Because as you just said, the students are going at the end of the day to pursue their education.
that's very
And at the end of the day, it is also there that students need to come out of their shell a little bit. And this is something I very strongly believe in me, that I feel that students should push themselves to actually do things which are new in
New to
skill,
them for
new
learning.
in terms of the environment that they have come from, because they have
Yeah,
left.
it improves their communication skill.
It improves their communication
Interpersonal skill. A lot of
it
things
makes
get
them a
improved.
more integral part of the society and
No doubt.
community, and it directly works hand in hand with the Xavier value of trying to communicate, of trying to contribute to an integral community, a helpful, growing, thriving community, which is a part of our very Jesuit roster. So we imbue that value upon our students as well, and we really appreciate students that actually seek after that particular value.
So, just the next question from my side is like, what are the documents required to apply at your university? So, like exactly if you can frame me, and is there application fees or not? Is there, because that is very important for
Sure.
students.
Sure.
So I'll start at the undergraduate level because there's some
Yeah, we are more
differences.
focused on that. That is fine. Yeah.
Okay. So the undergraduate level, we do require an online application. We accept a common application or a Xavier specific application. Great news, there's no application fee
That's great.
for that. In
No
addition-
application fees in US is like, it's actually a big offer.
Come to me with this question right after this point, and I'll actually share an insight on that. So,
Please.
So yeah, in addition to the application, we will also require transcripts from your last 3 to 4 years of your secondary education. For the Indian market, we typically like to see the 10th, 11th, and 12th transcripts. In addition to that, we also need proof of English proficiency. At the undergraduate level, we can accept TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo English tests, Pearson PTE. I'm missing one.
no, I think you got all the metrics,
Gotcha.
except that there are exceptions for students who are coming from the IGCSE or the IB background. For example, if you're from the IGCSE Cambridge Assessment background, you will have something called CAE, Cambridge Assessment English. And if your scores are 186 and above, you could be considered without an English proficiency test. However, I will always recommend to students to have an English proficiency test to have a more seamless visa process.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
the most important part.
Yes.
And then just 2 more requirements after that. We do like to see an essay or personal statement ranging from 250 to 500 words, and then also at least 1 letter of recommendation.
Okay, I need some more advice on that letter of recommendation and essay thing, because a lot of students get rejected or failed when it comes to an essay. So what do you recommend, like what information a student should include on this essays to ensure that he gets selected?
Sure. I mean, I'm reading applications at the university, and the ones that stand out are really personalized ones. You know, we've had applicants in the past that might mention the name of another school. That doesn't reflect well very much on the applicant. So have it really personalized for maybe Xavier, also the field of study that you're interested in, your academic background, your interests, and maybe what led you to make this decision of applying to Xavier.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more question adding on to that, because in the era of AI, chat GPT and all those stuff, a lot of students are looking forward to use such applications to write their essays. So how do you manage it? I mean to say, how do you got them up that no, this is not a genuine one? Because this will help a student. This is just for educational purpose.
Right.
So they should not use it and follow the instructions.
Definitely. I mean, there's not one surefire way to catch someone who's using chat GPT, but I feel like you sense it when you're reading
Yeah.
it. It's very generic. It's
Got
not personalized at all. So yeah, it leaves kind of a bad taste in my mouth when I'm reading an application
AI.
where it's like, this sounds too generic. It's not really, it's not personal at all. Like, yeah.
And any specification for letter of recommendation
Yep.
from whom it has to be, and like any specification?
So before I embark on the letter of recommendation, I want to add a few points to the part of the essay. I would highly discourage students to stop using ChatGPT
Yes.
as a marker to write the essays. Apply yourself within that particular document. It is your one-page letter to the university. How is it that you are not curious enough to put the
Yes.
best side that you have?
And
And
still
why are
using
you?
them.
There are some students who have actually come back to me with the feedback, but ma'am, we don't know what to write in the app of essay, and we don't know what is our best side. Then okay, you have applied into a particular program, Go through the roster of the university, look at the faculties who are teaching those subjects, look at the different subjects that are there, look at the researches going on or the projects or initiatives. All this information is always available on the university websites if the students closely look at it. They can mention that. And I also think that students need to believe in themselves a little more. Today's students, especially high school students, are greatly encouraged to be a part of some or the other extracurricular activities within the roster of their institutions. And we at Xavier, we really encourage our students to be inclusive and a contributive part of the Xavier Musketeers community. And in general, I would also say that that entails students to recognize what they have within themselves as well in terms of talent. Talent sometimes doesn't just have to be academic. It's all relative. Sometimes some students are very good in model UN competitions. Some students are extremely good in sports. Some students have got this musical flair or this artistic creative flair. Some of them are excellent dancers. Some have not done any of this, but they are very, very good with social work and community service and have had integral projects that they are part of. I met this student in Hyderabad who is an OCI. So she could not intern with organizations such as HAL or ISRO or DRDO. So she made this consortium of students for whom she created a group in Facebook. That's how it started. And she made this consortium of interested students who were interested in aeronautics or astrophysics or cosmology or something like that. And she together created that group and took them to the Aditya L1 missile launch pad site. After that, they maintained that consortium by having weekend meetups. They would have telescope viewings, they would have special sessions at the planetarium, or they would have just discussions amongst each other about interesting topics like the JWST or any new things that have come up in the realm of astrophysics or dark matter. And this became a part of her extracurricular. This became a part of her identity. She didn't let a legal barrier stop her from thriving into her area of interest, which is astrophysics, aeronautics, space science, cosmology. So, students, if they apply themselves, they can find different avenues to try and grow. And even if they are going for courses such as music or dance, and these are their extracurriculars, I would highly encourage them to start taking the proper examinations, such as for music, they can go for the Bhargava School of Music examinations, or they can go for the Trinity examinations, and start getting proper accreditations. If you are dancers for Kathak or Bharatnatyam, you can do your Arangetrams, and you can actually, finalize your dance career and your dance education. Be a part of community extracurriculars. This is what builds up on that.
This is a very, very important and a good message to the society.
Absolutely.
I will highly encourage the same. This has to come to the people. They should understand that academic intelligence is not the only intelligent existing there. But the problem with the Indian society is still they have to grasp this thing.
I think this is a factor that is more to be accepted by the parents rather than the students. Parents need to accept that the times are changing. It's not just about bookish knowledge anymore. Yes. I feel that these skills actually cultivate an extracurricular sense of extrovertedness within you. It allows you to be able to, flawlessly communicate yourself, express yourself through your different talents and skills. It allows you to stand out against a crowd of people where you are just one of the many. So these are some things, and it also inculcates a lot of confidence in the kids as well. I know students who have been very shy and very introverted and very quiet. But when I see them growing with their skill, like for example, if they are piano players, or if they are singers, or if they are dancers, mostly with music, I have seen this, that I've seen introverted kids where when they actually come and express their skill, there's a different level of confidence that you will see in them. And that makes them stand out. And why should they have any lesser of an opportunity to go to the cream institutions or the top institutions in USA just because they are quieter or they express less? These are the skills that build up on that confidence.
Yeah, that's true. This is a good and important message for the society, I must say. Thanks for this.
Absolutely.
I'll try to pass on this to as much parents as possible through my channel.
Absolutely.
Because I also keep on saying this, and there is an Indian actor, Amir Khan, who has made several movies for the same thing.
Yes.
But the parents still has to change, and then we'll make our all possible efforts to do that.
The competition is never going to stop, Mudit sir. It's going to get even more concrete as we go ahead. But the markers of what makes you stand apart in this competitive race, those are changing. And today, it's not just all about how much your brain can absorb in terms of the core knowledge. It is also of how much your brain has been able to perceive and recognize what is more unique within yourself and what is external. So that is what makes you stand out.
So have you done any degree in psychology, madam? Just out of the curiosity, I thought of asking.
I am actually a psychology as well as a literature student.
Yes, I can see that. I can see both the degrees. I can see it.
Thank you so much.
So, ma'am, moving forward, like what about the specific things about the letter of recommendation? What would you like to pass on to the audience?
Letter of recommendation is a very important document and an integral part of the application for the student, both for high school as well, both for undergrad as well as graduate students. On the undergrad side, we require only one letter of recommendation, and that has to be either from the school counselor, the school principal, or the vice principal or the director of the institution. So no subject teachers or no class teachers or any external teachers outside of the organization or the school.
So it has to be from these three people only.
Yes. However, we do allow that flexibility on the graduate side. So for example, on the graduate side, we expect our students to submit either 2 or 3 LORs. In that regard, those letters of recommendation can be from professional standpoint as well, or they could be academic as well. And if they are academic, more naturally and organically, they would be from subject-oriented faculties on the graduate side. So we get that. Yeah.
So moving forward, ma'am, I would also like to know what about the accommodation part for students. This is a very important question that comes from every parent. That's okay, fine, I'm fine with the education, I'm fine with the fees. But where will my child will stay? So do you have your own accommodation in campus?
Yes.
Or do you assist students to some other places?
So undergraduate students, they are required to live on campus for the first 2 years. Unless they have a relative or family member within a 35-mile radius of campus, then they may live with that family member. But other than that, generally students at the undergraduate level required to live on campus for the first 2 years.
It's helping them to be more focused, in fact.
Absolutely, yeah, and just be integrated more into the campus community.
That's very important. That's very important.
Definitely. And then at the graduate level, students aren't required to live on campus, and in fact, many of them choose to live off campus. We can provide some additional information assistance to find off-campus housing in the Cincinnati area.
After 2 years?
No, at the graduate level, immediately they can live off campus. At the undergraduate level, sorry to kind of flip, but for the undergraduate level, after the first 2 years, they can choose to live off campus if they'd like to.
So what is the price range, if you can just give me an idea for the fooding and the lodging of a student?
So we estimate that to be around $15,000 per year.
Okay, that's good.
And that covers, your lodging and then also your meals on campus. Even if you live off campus for I-20 purposes, we would need to see that amount. The U.S. government wants to make sure that students
I think £15,000 is dollars are good enough.
That's quite subsidized.
Quite subsidized.
And like
if somebody gets a good accommodation within the campus, I think this is a good enough price. There's no.
If I were a student, not at Xavier, but
because
at
it make you more focused and give you the environment that you need to study.
Well, first that, and also if I were a student, not just at Xavier, but any other institution as well in the United States, I would also go for on-campus living, because it makes me more integrated with the university culture and the university environment. My educational journey is not just all about only going to the classroom and coming out of the classroom, but to thrive in that particular environment and atmosphere. Not to mention, I definitely believe that the atmosphere is much safer for students when they are right in the campus.
So just we are heading towards the end of our episode, but just before we sign off, I would like to know the most important question that comes from a parent. What after completing the degree? Like a lot of universities have like, this is the placement record of ours, or this is the placement, or minimum this much percentage of a student get placed within 6 months. So what's about Xavier? What does that exactly?
From my experience, one of the most important questions that not just parents but even students tend to ask me is, what we call ROI.
This is the same question, Well, it's not the right thing to ask.
I actually was just coming to that, Mudit sir, that I don't think that is the right question. Because
this is not the right question. A parent should not be focusing on ROI, because you're not buying a flat or you're not investing in stock market, you're asking about ROI.
No, first of all, exactly that. I don't like the terminology that is used over there. But if I also may candidly express that any university cannot define the limit to which you
Yes,
can grow.
yes, yes.
If a student is a go-getter, all they need to do is apply themselves strategically to get the right avenues. For example, this year I got an excellent question from a recent education fair when I was attending over there, where the parents asked me, what all can my child do within the campus apart from academics? I want to thoroughly understand that. We just finalized that student for Xavier. But one of the things that we primarily made the parent understand is the diversity of opportunities. So there's another parent who met us at an earlier stage for whose student was applying, whose son was applying for the fall intake. And their question was how my son can grow in terms of sports within the institution. And for that, Xavier had just the right environment because we are located in a city where there are 3 professional sports teams that are nationally renowned. We have some amazing sports teams within the institution. Our basketball team, they actually regularly, a few members would be inducted into the NBA, and we have collegiate, we are an NCAA Division 1 sports school. We have some vibrant soccer teams, women's volleyball teams, varsity sports, swimming. So all these sports are not just pursued on a professional level but also on a inter-college level and an intramural level. So there was a lot for students to induct themselves or involve themselves into in terms of sports activities. So then the parent asked me that, does this only have to be on a college professional level? Is this something that my son can do just recreationally? And that's something where Xavier stands out, that their sports levels are not just limited to students who just want to be, professional level athletes, but they also have recreational level sports and an intramural level that students can go into. Cincinnati is a city with a lot of culture to offer to the students. So if there are students who are inclined towards music, arts, dance, and theatre, there's a lot that they can explore in that community for that as well. And Xavier has an active theatre club as well.
Okay.
So, in that regard, there's a lot that students can do. I do want to let you know that in all of after our orientation weeks are done in our fall intake and our January intake, we tend to have something called Club Day. And in Club Day, students are given a free rein to just go and explore what are the different 160 plus clubs and organizations at Xavier. They could be academically oriented, they could be hobby oriented, or some other arts and activities where they could even be a part of the student body or the student council body within the university. There are so many avenues for that. And we generally, as Alex has also told me, and Alex will also shed some light on this, students are encouraged to be a part of at least 3 clubs during their tenure at Xavier University, and they can holistically experience the best of what each of these organizations would have to offer. Alex, anything you want to add to that?
I think too, beyond that, Cincinnati is home to 5 Fortune 500 companies in the area, and a great place for young professionals to get their start after they complete their graduate studies. After they complete their studies. Even before that, though, Xavier holds 2 career fairs per year where we invite over 100 employers from the area, where students can meet firsthand, people from those companies in the area. They can make connections throughout their 4 years of undergraduate study or graduate studies, which will set them up well for after their degree is finished. Yeah.
I would like to recommend My Admission Card as an organization that will provide a seamless process and support to students who are not only looking to carve their educational journey at Xavier, but to other prospective destinations as well. They will have a touch of personalizations that you would need to have, and you would need, and you have a right to have during your educational process. And I would also recommend that if you have any questions, if you have any inquiries or any doubts within your mind, please feel free to connect with them, as they will have the right answers and the right path for you to venture into. Thank you so much.
If you're interested in studying in the US, the UK, or Europe, please consider My Admission Card here in India. They assist hundreds of students apply to these institutions in these countries, and they provide great service. And on behalf of me and Srishty, we'd like to recommend My Admission. I'd say generally don't be afraid to ask questions and put yourself out there and to be proactive. I think in US institutions generally, but especially at Xavier, there's a lot of resources available to you. and they're not going to walk themselves to you. You'll need to go to them, seek them out. But yeah, never, stop being curious.
Absolutely.
So thanks a lot, Srishty, and thanks a lot, Alex, for coming to our show and helping the student around. And to the student, if you are looking for any further questions, please do put a comment on our comment section, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir.
So much for having us.